Welcome back, friends. You're just in time for the Johnny Brew Show.
What's going on, everybody? My name is John Brookhagen, host of the Johnny Brew Show, and oh my gosh, welcome to a special midweek edition. I had a little cancellation during the week. I had a little bit of extra time, and I happen to have a friend rolling through town. So, first things first, guys, we're representing Red Wave 22. We're going to have every single conservative candidate we can think of, and any other candidate is always welcome. And it's simply so you guys can get to know the people and vote intelligently in the primary, so we can have the people you want to represent us in the November election. What I need you to do is I need you to subscribe, not only on YouTube, but we also back up all our videos to Rumble, because you never know what's going to happen. We're also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that happy stuff. Hit us up on Facebook, The Johnny Brew Show. We have Common Sense Nevada, the Public Square, and of course, in order to get the new school board in, we have the new CCSD Board of Trustees 2224. First things first, let me tell you about Infinity, the Math Institute. Play tape. So, without further ado, let me introduce for the first time, and we've been expecting and hoping to have you for a long time, Mr. Joey Gilbert. Welcome.
Thank you for having me here, man. It's awesome.
For those of you who don't know, Joey Gilbert is running for governor of Nevada. He's been campaigning for about a year now. You've been hitting the road.
Well, it didn't start out as a campaign. It started out as a fight for our freedom and for our children, and it just led into a campaign. And actually, it was what was the way I could have the biggest effect and affect the most change, and I looked at all the different races, and it was governor. So here I am.
Well, I mean, Joey Gilbert has got some incredible story. You're a former boxer, professional boxer.
Yes,
you were on one of the reality shows.
Yes,
I think it was Sylvester Stallone's reality show. I mean, there's so much to learn about Joey Gilbert, but that is not what we're doing today. We have already scheduled the long form get to know Joey Gilbert the way only the Johnny Brew Show does. We're going to learn all about him growing up, high school, becoming a boxer, becoming an attorney. How did all this happen? What led him to the fight to stick up for people, whether it's opening churches, opening schools, masks off kids. We'll find out everything that he's done. We got a little bit of a taste of the flavor with Sigal Chata last month, so don't be afraid to look that one up to prepare for this interview. But what I wanted to talk to you today, you happen to be in town. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on right now. It's pretty crazy. And a lot of the people that watch the show really wanted to ask you a couple of questions. First of all, I think we have a graphic. Rob Lauer from, I think it's 360 Vegas News or something.
360 Daily, yep.
There you go. You know better than me. Just got his FOIA request finally granted. And he found out that since the beginning of this school year, just this past August, until the beginning of February, which is just a little bit more than half the school year, we've had 1,358 assault and batteries. We've had over 1,400 fights. We've had 66 sexual assaults, as well as 26 shootings and almost 2,400 examples of threats of harassment. Now, the first question is obviously, what can we do about the violence? I mean, how can parents feel comfortable sending their kids to these schools when there's literally the threats of severe violence almost on the daily?
Well, unfortunately, in the present scenario that we're facing, they can't. I mean, you can't feel safe sending your kids to these schools right now. It's scary. I mean, you look at these numbers, and you'd be thinking you're talking about inner city, just crime statistics.
Right.
This is CCSD. And this isn't just, CCSD, Washoe County School District, all over the state, we're seeing this. But in the two biggest cities, This is scary. And I mean, it starts with leadership, man. The leadership at the top. I mean, we need to start removing people. We need to remove administrators, superintendents. Obviously, the school board needs to do a way better job. And more importantly, we have to see some of these kids, there's too much. I don't know if you're aware of restorative discipline.
We talk about that on the Johnny Brew Show all the time.
That has to go. This has to be fixed at the legislature level. A lot of governor can do. That's why I'm here. And what I intend to do, but a lot of this has to do with putting the pressure on our legislature to say we need restorative discipline gone, we need credit recovery gone, we need absenteeism, fixed, and parents held accountable.
And regarding the restorative justice, I mean, of course, even socialism, it's all sounds great if you could get everybody to, but obviously not everybody's going to pull their own weight. When you talk about restorative justice, you're talking about implementing the policies of not expelling or suspending kids, but they're not implementing the bottom end of the policies, which I still don't necessarily think it would work. But the only thing they're implementing is the lack of suspensions, the lack of expels. And if you ask any teacher, I mean, me personally, you talk about class sizes. I don't care how big a class size is, as long as I can get rid of 10% of the kids who are causing the most distractions.
Absolutely.
Teachers are stuck with the kids for the duration, no matter what. Under
and those kids
justice.
are absolutely making it impossible for the rest of them to learn. And again, like you said, there's not only no accountability, but there's no follow-up. Nothing's happened to these kids, and they can't just keep going on like that. And all the statistics are showing that since it's been implemented, it's gotten worse and worse and worse. You can't keep repeating the same thing over and over again.
And then this was an article by Rob Lauer, and something else I loved about the article, but I hate about the situation, is even when you're talking about 66 sexual assaults, or you're talking about 1,500 assaults and batteries, the identities are protected. And there's no transparency. So you can't even call them a John Doe and say, okay, well, what happened? Did they get arrested? Did they go to court? Do they still go to the school? Not only are they protecting the identity of these students, which I could agree with, but they won't have any transparency. So you don't know if, 1,000 of them could be the same kid going from school.
Well, here, let me tell you something even more, that concerning. As an attorney and as a criminal defense attorney that we see stuff, this is what's reported.
Right.
Okay, we all know about reporting in this country. All right, this is what they've got. You could take these numbers and probably double them, possibly triple them. That's what's so scary about this. And again, what I get so frustrated with, I've been to these school board meetings. You go in there, it's pat each other on the back. They want to give everybody an award and tell them. No one wants to stand up
until
and say,
they are having a soap opera and they're throwing mud at each other.
They want to no one wants to stand up and say, we've got a crisis in our schools. They're broken. They're morally corrupt. Okay, they're socially corrupt, and they're financially insolvent.
Well, I believe, if you've been seeing, I just wrote an article. We just released another episode. We had Erin Phillips and Charlie De La Paz from Power to Power on. We've been talking about all this stuff. And what I've noticed is at the last school board meeting, they tried to get it on the agenda for, I think it was March 3rd or for the next one, and they weren't even able to get it on the agenda for the next board meeting. And I'm thinking, why are we even trying to agendize this? Why don't we call an emergency session and protect our children?
Exactly.
First and foremost.
That, protecting the children, people need to realize one thing. That's what got me here. Seeing these kids get sent home, seeing the distance learning that got them crushed. And like we say to people, crushed is an understatement. 90% plus failing. We should be having special session after special session until we fix this.
And it really just comes down to raising the expectations for these kids. I see a lot of malaise in the kids. They came back the first semester this past year. Now the second semester, they're having trouble getting through the whole thing. But the problem is the teachers are not getting through it either.
Nope.
You look at CCSD on Mondays and Fridays, they're having 1,500 absences, which is 10% of this workforce.
Yeah, it's again, we're in a red area. This is an emergency. It's time to do something. What they've been doing, we're the bottom of the barrel for a decade straight. More money's not the answer. Yeah, 20 years. But more money's not the answer. Here we are funding at the same rate as Florida, about $10,100 a student. Florida's third, and look at us, 50th. You're 49th, 50th, 51st. I got corrected in Lake Tahoe. A parent raised her hand and said, Mr. Gilbert, we're 51st. I said, how are we 51st? She said, Puerto Rico's better than us.
Right, and that's one of the jokes here that we do on the Johnny Brew Show, because we love math. Yeah. I say we're so good at math, we're 51st out of 50 states at math. That's how good we are at math. That's my joke. And then, oh man, you distracted me with my stupid joke. I forget what I was going to say.
Oh, it's
I don't even remember. All right, let's get on to the story number 2 anyway, because
Okay.
I already went over. I just wanted to give a flashback. Before I ever had a podcast, but one of the reasons I very well may have gotten involved, before you ever thought about running for governor, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons you may have wanted to get involved in politics, let me remind you of what one of our friends from the Democratic Party was saying just, I think, 3 short years ago. Play tape.
We can't protect the children. We can't protect anybody. If you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome. The people are going to turn on them. They're going to protest. They're going to absolutely harass them until they decide that they're going to tell the president, no, I can't hang with you.
Not in D.C. Not in the U.S. Not in D.C. Not in the U.S. Not in D.C. Not in the U.S.
Our issue is strong borders, no crime. Their issue is open borders. Let MS-13 all over our country. That's what's going to happen if you listen to them.
All right, and I mean, there was just so many parallels between, I'm guessing you know what video is going to be coming up next. That was Maxine Waters, who encouraged people to confront Trump cabinet members who actually did it out of
She didn't just say confront. She said you get in their face. You push back on them. You harass them. That's not just...
You tell them they're not welcome anymore.
You tell them you're not welcome so that they get out of the president's administration. That, I mean, for her to say that, and again, the hypocrisy is always just so
Well, that's what she
disgusting.
said. Let's
That's
take
what
a
she
look
said.
at this video, and you tell me how that relates to what she just said.
Yeah.
And guys, I got to let you know, I'm always so good about watching my language, but also... when I have a clip and a quote, I play the quote as is. We're not beeping nothing out. We're a free speech organization. We'll watch our mouth. But I can't say the same for the gentleman in the video. Play tape.
That's amazing. I can't tell you what a piece of fucking shit you are.
Sorry to hear that.
You New World Order traitor piece of shit bastard. You're in here without security? Woo! Yeah, you piece of shit. I'm surprised you have the balls to be out here in public, punk. Out here without a cop, out here without security? Woo! You got balls on you, boy. I'm not moving.
Wait till we find all the money that flowed his way from...
Oh, man.
Yeah, hiding the hydroxychloroquine.
Oh, you in trouble. Let's go. Yeah, you better get the fuck out of here, Sisolack.
Probably a good idea to go somewhere else.
Where's your security at, huh? Huh? Where's your... Don't touch me, lady. Where's your security at? Huh? You want to sell us all down the river? You working for China, piece of shit? You fucking traitors. We should string you up by lampposts right now, pussy boy.
Sure. Do you know what they do to traitors?
They hang them.
traitors.
That's right, Patriot.
I think it's awesome.
You running into a patriot now, huh? Huh? Where's your security at? I heard about you banging that little girl and then wrecking your car. Does she know about that? Huh, Steve? Mr. Sisolack? You treasonous, China-working, cocksucking motherfucker. Where's your security at, bitch? Woo! You lucky I'm a law-abiding citizen. Woo! Because your daughter's with you, I'm going to leave you alone now. Patriot shit.
And then he walks by and he talks to his dad. His dad seems proud of him too. And you know, first of all, we heard what Maxine Waters had to say. Then you heard what this gentleman was doing.
Yeah.
First of all, what was your impression the first time you saw that?
First time I saw it, I mean, like I told people, I thought, you know what? After what this gentleman has done to this state and to our kids, and, you know, I took the phone calls from parents that lost a child, that took their own life. I took the phone call from people that lost their businesses. I took the phone call from folks that lost loved ones in the hospitals because they didn't have the medicine. I got to be honest with you. I thought there's no more deserving person on this planet for that than Steve Sisolack.
Right. And, I mean, one thing, you know, there was a lot of expletives. I wish he would have been a little bit more situational about, for example, I did hear the one guy talking about Steve Sisolack banning hydroxychloroquine,
Which he did,
and pushing the remdesivir instead, and stuff like that. And I know this is part of your lawsuits and stuff, and you know probably better than anybody the damage this caused. So I mean,
Thousands of people died that didn't.
I believe you.
You think that's bad? You think that was bad? That confrontation. Tell me, how you feel knowing that your loved one died when they didn't even need to die because he hid the medication, banned it from you. So, only thing, as I've said, the only thing that I didn't like, his wife looked scared, and I didn't like that the daughter, because I didn't know there was a daughter. You don't see till the end. And when I see the daughter coming in, and I have an 11-year-old daughter, I could just imagine how she would have felt if she saw. Well, she would have seen me in that. Probably would have been a little different because someone would have got hit with a left hook real quick. But that being said, that was the only thing I thought. You know what? His wife looked upset, scared, and the daughter looked scared. I can, I'm very good at watching, people and just the nonverbal communication. Daughter looked scared. I didn't like that, and the wife looked scared. Outside of that, I absolutely know Justin, though. He wouldn't have laid a finger on him. He wouldn't have done anything, as you could see. And as soon as he saw that the daughter was there, he immediately walked away, which is what a guy would do.
I think it's crazy that I'm the only one who seems to have noticed, and you seem to have picked up on it a little bit.
Well, I didn't see the whole video. When I first got sent to me, I only saw the inside part.
Oh,
I didn't even see
the hug and you're a piece of.
I thought that was great, and then I didn't see it until they went outside. And I mean, actually, the door, when they opened the door, I didn't see that stuff at first. So I thought no one deserves that because I only got like a little 20-second clip sent to me. And I thought that guy deserved that.
Right.
I didn't know that he followed him outside. After I saw him outside, like I said, I had my own concerns. Saying, you know what, Kathy, his wife looked a little nervous, and probably should have been, because he seemed a little aggressive. But knowing him, he was never going to touch him.
Right, but of course, I don't know him.
Yeah,
Sisolack doesn't know him. No. Nobody knows, so you never know. But am I gathering that you agree with the sentiment, but maybe the follow-through, you would have done it differently
if it were you? I absolutely agree. Listen, and I'm never going to take, my words back. I'm not one of those guys. And I've taken, they already beaten me up in the newspaper and saying, I'm not gubernatorial material. Look, when you do what you do, as Steve Sisolack did, and again, like I said, when you see the kids that got crushed, and you know this more than anybody, how devastating his policies and restrictions and isolationism was, and still is.
And we're going to pay for 20 years.
20 years. That was nothing compared to what he really should receive. But in hindsight, and then seeing the daughter and his wife, and there's fear in their eyes, that's the only part that as a dad, I felt, and as a human being,
and like I said,
felt, what, all right, but
what I noticed
Justin
was his lack of consideration. If that was me, the first thing I would do is I would protect my wife and my daughter.
Yeah.
I mean, he was trying to get out, and his wife had to catch up to him.
Yeah.
Then you see the daughter had to catch up.
Yeah.
He just left his daughter.
Oh, my God.
What if this guy was dangerous? What if there was a bunch of pitchfork crazy people?
You wouldn't have seen me go anywhere without my daughter's hand in one hand and my wife's hand in another, because you're getting through me before you touch them.
All he wanted to do was jet.
Yeah.
He was not worried about
his
his
wife. That's because he's
wife
a complete
coward.
coward. And everything he's done has been based on his selfishness and his, self-righteousness.
It reminded me a lot of the video when he got into that car accident, which the gentleman was bringing up about, what might have been happening before the car accident and stuff like that. But that same kind of dopey thing. Do you think Steve Sisolack is evil, or do you think Steve Sisolack is ignorant?
I think you got to be a special kind of stupid and evil to do what he's done. Listen, every bit of medical data and science that we can find said everything he was doing was wrong. And I know this because good people that I trust were trying to approach him. Everybody was trying. And I found out there's contractors in this state, guys I know in this state, that gave him, full donations, that tried to call him. He wouldn't even take their calls. Then they started, calling his cell phone and leaving, messages just like this guy left.
Right.
No call back. Right. So I'm telling you, stupid, evil, and corrupt.
Right. I mean, for a year, I know there were a couple of groups that were picketing over by his house on Tropicana and Rainbow. They were trying to get his attention peacefully. And, this was peacefully, but maybe a little bit aggressive.
People have said to me, I've heard people say, he should have made an appointment with his office. Yeah, right. Like he would have, when he got in the door and been able to say that at his office. That's a joke. Listen, Justin did what Justin had to do. And a lot of people don't know that Justin, this guy, he's got, Cannabis and Combat is his podcast. His guy got hit hard. He lost everything, didn't get his unemployment. So this is a guy who suffered and saw what happened to his community.
And represented other people.
Other people, yeah. So,
instead of speaking for him, he released a video where he had a little press conference and he spoke for himself. So I just wanted to share this with you guys. His name is Justin Andersch.
Andersch.
rolls right off the tongue. Easy for you to say. This is Justin explaining exactly where he was coming from in his own press conference. Play tape.
Implemented by the authoritarian public officials. Measures that they all claim are in the interest of public health have had permanent, life-altering negative impacts on not just the health of Nevada's economy, but that of our children, our small businesses, and many of our most vulnerable. Then, when the vulnerable and desperate turned to the governor's office for help, we were met and continue to be met with an inadequate, broken system. Inefficient government programs and funds that can't be accessed. We've endured 2 full years of authoritarian overreach that is guided by the constant shifting of the scientific goalposts. Our nation has reached a point where many of us feel faceless and nameless against the ruling elite that appear to live by a different set of rules than the rest of us. Why is it front page news for me to confront an elected official in a public place, but it's not front page news for Kathy Sisolack to hold multiple government contracts through her company she still actively owns and manages? Why is it front page news when I ask Mr. Sisolack questions about his dealings, but it's not front page news when he refuses to answer questions regarding the many concerns of the Route 91 Victims Fund? Yep. Why is it okay for all of you to sit here and put me under a microscope? But refuse to apply the same standard to one of the most powerful politicians in the country.
You know, obviously, he was able to collect his thoughts a little bit more for a press conference than being spur of the moment. Oh my God, here's my shot. Here's Sisolack. Which I really love what he has to say. I mean, everything that he brought up. And for those of you who don't know, that's the reviewjournal.com has the whole press conference. I'm sure you can find it on Facebook and stuff like that. But what he says, and he continues, you can see the whole thing, is so true. Whether you're talking about, repressing hydroxychloroquine and making it illegal, which it's not even a dangerous drug. No. You talk about the money at Route 91, and I know Mindy Robinson came out with a spectacular special outlining the details and the questions regarding that. And then, like he says, they're going to put him under a microscope now. When for 2 years or 4 years, actually, Sisolack should be put under a microscope himself.
You couldn't get a word out of Sisolack this entire time. I know. I couldn't even get this guy in court. I can't even answer a single thing. He wouldn't provide us a shred of data for anything he did. But where's the scientific evidence of, putting the masks on, taking them off? It's never worked. So, again, he did what he had to do. Again, I already said this. I take my hat off to him. The only thing, as I said one more time, the only thing I didn't like was his wife, Governor Sisolack's wife, looking rattled and getting left, basically. Right. And then his daughter coming running out, scared. Because for her dad's life, probably, because from the outside, it looks like this guy, is really coming at him. But again, knowing Justin and the way that he, he's geared, he just wanted to give this guy a piece of his mind, and rightfully so. This man has refused to face the fire on anything. Every special session's been, closed. Okay, right. He hasn't come out one time and talked about anything. It's always been a bunch of, like you said, moving the goalpost nonsense.
The only time you see him is for a COVID vaccine lottery. Yeah. That's when he makes his public appearances.
Yeah, I got to be honest, like I said, this is something the guy deserved. I just wish, as you just said, that it could have gone down a little differently. But you know what? You can't rewind, you can't unring a bell. It's done. And I'm just glad that, like I said, Justin is speaking his mind, and I'm glad he did his press conference.
Do you think what Sisolack has done is treasonous and should be investigated? Because we're America. We don't, say you win the election.
Absolutely.
We don't arrest the losing party, like they do in Ukraine or Russia.
The losing party doesn't ever really cheat the way this guy did. This guy, let me tell you something. I don't care what anyone says. I'll go down swinging on this one, because at the end of the day, I'm either going to get in this thing or I'm not, but I'm not going to back down on my principles. I don't bow to the Republican Party. I don't bow to the Democrat Party, the establishment. I represent the people. And the people were the injustice done to the people, to the children, to the seniors, okay? And to every business owner is something that absolutely needs to be investigated. Everything needs to be audited. We need to look at all of it. Audit the 2020 election.
If you win the governorship, you will start some sort of a special investigation.
100%. We're looking at where all the money went. We're looking at what he did with the COVID, the relief money. We're looking at the Route 91 money. We're reopening the entire investigation of Route 91 for sure, 100%. We're going to audit the 2020 election, all right? We're going to get to the bottom of this. Someone has to do it. And most importantly, we're going to audit Clark County School District. We're going to audit the Washoe County School District. I want to get to the bottom. I want to know where all this money went.
Everything. They spent before COVID, CCSD spent $5.2 billion per year.
Yes.
I mean, we're whining about spending $1 billion on Raider Stadium not $5.2 billion. Annually.
And
then since the COVID money came in, they're going to have like a $6 billion budget yearly.
Yeah.
And teach our kids. $6 billion. And speaking of, if you were to win the governorship, right now the front runner is Joe Lombardo.
Yeah.
Do you think Joe Lombardo will open up an investigation? Does Joe Lombardo have the power to open up an investigation as sheriff at this moment if he wanted to?
Joe Lombardo's the Tin Man, all right, from The Wizard of Oz. All right, he has no heart, no courage. He's not going to do a thing. Sisolack skates. That's what people don't understand. This is a setup. They know a red wave is coming, so they're stacking the deck with rhinos. And it's not even rhinos; they're called big government Republicans. And obviously,
Elites.
look at what Lombardo's been doing since he's been in sheriff. All right, they always believe the government's the answer. More government, more government. He actually, believe it or not, was in favor of reducing his own budget. Okay, defunding his own police department. Then he mandated the vaccine for his own. So you think he's going to go investigate Sisolack? It's never going to. And would he investigate himself? I got deputies coming to me, telling me how bad of a job. And again, 5 years, we still don't have answers on really what happened at that shooting.
Right.
The money's one thing. That's what really happened at that shooting.
But the other people in the room, the motive,
absolutely,
everything else.
He's not going to investigate Sisolack. He's not going to investigate
the vote investigation.
Yeah, it's a joke. And again, here's another thing. He also says there was no voter integrity issues.
Right,
there was
and it's the duly elected president.
It's election fraud, not voter fraud. But he said that Biden was duly elected and there was no election fraud in Nevada. Those two words alone, along with the sanctuary city stuff and the crime explosion in Vegas, he should be out the door. Anybody votes for him,
question, because we're running out of time. I heard rumors, I want to know if you know this for sure. There was a governor's debate at the Orleans by some organization, I forget it. But
Keystone Corporation.
Thank you very much. Is it true? Do you know for sure that Joe Lombardo said if they invite you that he wouldn't show up?
Absolutely. Joe Lombardo, number one, will never debate me. He doesn't want me to be in the same room as him, and he actually made it a contingent that he would come as long as Joey Gilbert's not there. And here's another thing people don't know. This is the basement Biden all over again. He will not appear at events unless he knows who's coming in advance. He will not take questions unless they're submitted to his campaign in advance.
Like Biden.
That's insanity.
That is crazy.
This is what we're going to do again. We're going to let another one in because he knows the very first time I get a question at one of these debates, I'm going to say, well, look who showed up, everybody.
Right.
Mr. Lombardo's here.
And we're out of time.
Yeah.
A couple quick questions. First of all, I wanted to know, if you were to become governor, how could you do this if we can't win the majority in the legislature?
Well, first of all, it's going to be a red wave, the likes of which they've never seen. So they're not going to have the supermajority. So that means a governor's veto becomes so powerful. And I say to this, everyone, anyone watching this, who do you want sitting at that desk with the power of the veto? Do you want someone who's been corrupted by special interests, been in the political game for a long time? I don't care who you are. This is why no politician should be involved in this deal. You want someone who will veto their nonsense so fast, because with a governor's veto, we can fix a lot of things. And I'm that guy that won't lose an ounce of sleep over doing what's right for the people.
Beautiful. So I think it's 10 days or 12 days, but sometime soon in March, you're going to be coming back.
Yeah.
We're going to go through your whole story. And,
right
of course, we'll also hit some of these great issues. I want to talk to you about a bunch of stuff, but I can't. If you do want to see Joey Gilbert, I do believe there's going to be an event, the concealed carry with Nephi.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to have, I think, 5 or 6 candidates, including Mr. Joey Gilbert, for this like 400-person CCW class. And Nephi was telling me he's really excited about this because they were forcing his organization to not be able to use public lands like libraries and stuff.
Sure.
So he got a court order for them to entertain his CCW class, which should be totally legal in Nevada or the United States.
Well, believe it or not, Joe Lombardo has been the one personally making it difficult for Nephi to do his concealed carry classes. That should tell you everything you need to know about Lombardo with the Second Amendment. But anyway, I digress.
So that's going to be on April 10th, 2002. So you're going to be here before then anyway. So we'll see you again
March.
before then. But I just want to let people know where they could see you. And I wanted to give Nephi a shout out because I know he's really excited about this event. There he is. I also believe he worked with Mindy Robinson on that Route 91.
Everybody should check out
special.
that Route 91 special.
Yeah,
They really should.
It's really eye-opening, and it's not very opinionated. It's very fact-based, timeline type of stuff. So, I'm over time. Am I good? All right, guys, thank you so much. Joey Gilbert, thank you so much for
having me,
joining
man.
us.
This was awesome.
Guys, hit subscribe. Please follow us on all the social media stuff. We don't ask for money, donations, nothing. We're just asking for you to help us get the word out. That's the only reason we're here, all right? We're going to be coming to you this weekend with a couple more great interviews, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you so much, Johnny.
For Joey Gilbert, my name is John Brookhagen. Thank you for watching, and we'll get you next time.